Hello, I'm Kevin Ripa, and this is another episode of My Sans 3 Minutes Max. This is a continuation of our ongoing series dealing with the order of volatility. We talked about imaging the RAM. Now we're going to talk about dealing with whole disk encryption. As we discussed, if we image the RAM, inside the RAM we have all of the encryption keys that have been implemented to boot the machine or place the machine into some sort of readable state. So maybe we're inside a TrueCrypt container or VeraCrypt or something like that. All of these keys are going to be in the RAM. But we don't want to further complicate the task we have in front of us. If we're dealing with whole disk encryption, how about bypassing that during our forensic imaging process? We can do that by imaging the system live. But should we do that? Well, it all depends on a number of factors, but a very important factor is, again, this whole disk encryption. So we can run a tool called EDD by Magnet Forensics to determine if the partition we're dealing with has a whole disk encryption. In fact, running this program is going to scan all of the volumes for encryption, and it's going to report back if any whole disk encryption is detected. If EDD comes across anything like that and reports it back to us, well, now we know that we're probably better off to image the system live. Now, there's some of you, I can see you in the back with your hand up saying, Kevin, we can't interact with the system when it's live. What do you mean, imaging it live? My gosh, what about hashes? And what about this? And what about that? Yeah, well, what if the cow jumped over the moon? What if this virus came out and just started spreading rampantly around the world? What would we do? Well, we'd have to deal with it. If you're dealing with imaging a live system, it's absolutely okay to do, just like so many other things in forensics that I hear that you shouldn't do. If you've got a good reason to do it, then it's not wrong, as long as you can explain it. And a live system acquisition is one of those things. And we'll talk in a future episode in more detail about live acquisitions. So now that we know that the system is encrypted, let's do a live acquisition of the logical volume, not the physical. If we grab the physical, we're right back to square one, in which we have a partition that is whole disk encrypted. And now how are we going to mount it and unlock it, just in case we don't have the keys? All of this is coming out of Forensics 498's Battlefield Forensics and Data Acquisition course. You can go to sans.org and see when it's being offered. We'd sure love to see you. Until tomorrow, take care of yourself.